Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my knitting podcast. I am Sam, and this is an Irish knitting podcast. I come to you from Ireland. My intro has been all messed up. I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. It's been too long. Anyway, I am back with another episode, although I really do not have much to share with you today. I really want to touch base because it's been a while. First of all, if you are just finding out this channel, I am Sam. I'm an artist, illustrator, 9 to 5 lawyer, coming to you from Dublin in Ireland. Although you can tell my accent is not really an Irish accent, although I'm trying my best. I am originally from Italy, living here in Dublin for the past ever, basically. I became even an Irish citizen, so here you go. This is an attempt of a knitting podcast. Was born as a proper knitting podcast, but during the years it took different waves. It became a blog. It became an outlet for me to talk about crafts, knitting, books, art, anything that happens in my out of the office life, if you can say so, and sometimes even in the office life. Anyway, if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back, and thanks for the very warm receiving of my Christmas everyday blog, my Vlogmas. It's been so much fun to film that for you and to have you in my living room almost every day. We together basically knitted a gorgeous jumper that we made up going through the motion of the knitting events. So that was really exciting and gave me the motivation to knit up the jumper and get it done. So thank you so much. And all of you, if you would like to hit the subscribe button, the likes button, that would definitely really help me to get some sort of visibility in my account. It's terribly freezing today in Ireland. It's been for a couple of days now. We had massive amount of snow as well. Really not here in Dublin, but all around. So I got my cup of tea, and I really hope you get yours as well. Tea, coffee, whatever. And let's start with, of course, the finished works first, and then we'll get into the works in progress, some artistic chats, and a slump of a book that I'm reading and it doesn't want to end. Let's start with the work that I've finished. So the first that I would like to show you is this one. I unfortunately don't have it here with me. This is the work that we knitted together over the Advent time, over Vlogmas. It's a gorgeous little jumper. It's kind of a Frankeshtain jumper because I took the main shape pattern out of a free pattern that you can find on the Yarbo Garn website. Yarbo, if I'm right, and please correct me if I'm not, is a Swedish yarn producer. They have a lot of beautiful, amazing free pattern on their website as well. And I particularly like that because it has a very distinct way of constructing the shoulder and the neckline. It's a saddle shoulder at the end of the day, but it's knitted up in an horizontal way, starting from a shoulder up to the other, and then connecting the front and knitting down. So you get this shifting of stitches that is really, really beautiful. Although the final work ended up being a sort of an ugly Christmas jumper, I am definitely going to knit another one just plain, just to highlight this feature on the shoulder that I really enjoyed so very much. It was a struggle to decipher. It's written probably in another language than English before that and translated, and the translation wasn't great. I'm so very grateful that Yarbo put up patterns for free. It just takes a little bit of work to get the pattern to work and the translation to actually be effective. So yeah, here we go. I don't speak Swedish, so it was a matter of having you guys helping me and Google translate the pattern to get a sense of what was going on. At the end of the day, I figured out what was wrong with the translation, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful pattern. The color work itself, I really wanted to get a one of those ugly Christmas jumper that I don't know, are popular, I suppose, in America, probably in the UK. They're not really a thing over here or in Europe, but I really wanted something festive and Christmassy. And I wanted reindeers on the top of the jumper. So I was thinking of getting a color work that I've already done a few times on other jumpers just to repurpose that. But taking into account stitch counts and so on and so forth, I ended up really making up my own. It's a repetition of a couple of color work design, stranded color work design. If you want a copy of that, I think I still have somewhere the file where I actually draw down the color work, and I'll be super happy to share it with you if you would like to use it for your own, or if you like to apply that to this Yarbo pattern. It's very simple. It takes really no brain space, and the color work itself seems complicated, but it's super simple. So really a big success with that. The yarn I used for that jumper was a combination of black and white Rauma Finul that I had in stash, nothing crazy. Rauma Finul is a sport weight yarn, almost impossible to get in Ireland. I was able to get that shipped from a French website or something like that. Anyway, all the information that I am just randomly saying here, and very fast I realize how fast I am. Bracket. I'm just back from visiting my family for the holidays in Italy, speaking Italian or Venetian language there for 20 days almost. It's very fast, it's very fast. English is so much of a slower pace language, and I still haven't recovered from that visit. So I'm applying the speed of a Venetian to English, which is crazy. Anyway, I'll do my best to slow down a bit. Also, my chair is squiggly and it's so annoying. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, Rauma Finul, impossible to get here. All the informations, if I find it, I link the shop as well in the description below. So if you are living in a country like Ireland that doesn't have the possibility to have any Rauma Finul, I'd be delighted if I could help you with that. That was my first finished work, and was the last finished work of 2024. Now, I am torn here if I should film the classic all that I've knitted in 2024. I've done that last year for the second time. And that wasn't really a success as a video. I didn't really have much of a viewship or big feedback. So I don't really know if it's something people are still into, if people are still curious in understanding what needs one have done, or if it became, and I had the impression that it became them, if it became some sort of look at me, how great I am, or all the needs I've done during the year. So let me know what you think. I'll be delighted to show you all my needs, but yeah, I'm questioning if it's worth or not. At the end of the day, I film all my needs on camera, so if someone is curious, can just go back to my previous podcast. But anyway, let me know, maybe something that people find interesting. The second piece is that 2024 hasn't been a great year for me in terms of knitting. I've knitted a lot, but I focus a lot on big knits, jumpers, what you call it, a blanket, a big scarf. I haven't knitted a lot of smaller pieces, so it feels to me I don't really have much to share apart from those 5 or 6 jumpers. But yeah, once again, I'm blathering. Let me know what you think. Let's go on with the finished work. And I'm wearing a finished work here. Ta-ta-da! Let me stand up and give you a view. Now it's just blocked and blocked very badly, as I can see, but this is an absolute beauty. Let me grab my phone and tell you all about this in a second. Anyway, let's enjoy the view here. So this is the glaze jumper by Andreas Ruthman. I suppose it's pronounced like that, Ruthman. Ruthman design on Ravelry, Instagram, website, whatever. I put all the links below in the description. I had this pattern in my queue for the past ever. Probably since I started knitting. This pattern and another pattern from the same designer, the name of which is escaping me at the moment. Anyway, they are gorgeous designs. As you can see, this has a feature that I will tell you about in a second, both on the neck here and on the... Oh, I don't want to show you my delicacy, but on the bottom piece. On the sleeve here as well, and it turns down all the way. You got it. I'm gonna put a picture here as well. So it's constructed from the top down. You cast on the neck, you do this first stitching sort of edge here, and the designer gives you a few options for this line. You can do color work, you can do this choice, you can do a couple of options. So, but I found this something that I've never done before, and that was quite of an interesting accent. Also because I wanted to maintain the whole jumper of the same color. The designer tells you that you can divide the jumper in 2 colors and get this interesting glaze motif, dripping motif in contrasting color. I really didn't want that. I wanted one color only, and that's why I choose this stitch here, which is not a stitch like, it's not embroidery, it's done with the knitting. I can't tell you how the pattern is for sale, so It's quite expensive as a pattern as well, but anyway. The jumper is, we were saying, constructed from the bottom and down. You get to add the short rows at the neck to lengthen the neck, and then in 3 different spots you add more short rows to get this wavy line here and on the way back here. It's all connected, is all the same tube of knitting, and is all made with the same German short rows techniques all the way around, which is mind-blowing. It's mind-boggling. If you know how German short row works, you can really realize how this is constructed. You get 3 or 4 waves of short rows, and then you work them or you resolve them the other way around to get back to the same length all around. Let me tell you, it looks a bundle of mess when you get your first round of short rows. It's all up and down, so difficult to understand. I was so close to throw that in the bin because it was actually very ugly. The pattern though is super clear. You get to fly through. It's so easy, but at the same time you always get some interest because you have short rows, because you have the stitch to do, because you have all of this thing. But all in all, it's extremely well written and really worth the money. So very happy I knitted this. Size wise, I choose the 3rd size up. The pattern recommends a heavier yarn, a chunky DK or an Aron way yarn. I went down to get gauge to I sized up to allow my gauge to work fine with the one that was suggested in the pattern. You know me, it's very rare that I use the yarn that is recommended in a pattern, and I always had to adjust my gauge to get to the size that the pattern suggests. Yarn wise, I used Ulster Super Soft in the color Prussian Blue and Mustard held double. I use Ulster A because I had it in stash. I really don't want to buy any more yarn if I can use what I have. And I have a lot of yarn that I don't really use much, or that I haven't used. So I'm really making an effort here to go against my instinct of building up a stash of yarn. I live in a country in which it's very easy to go down the road, go to the yarn shop, although we don't have much choice in terms of yarn, but it's really easy to get there and to buy yarn. It's very easy to buy yarn online as well. So there's no need for me to build up a stash, although I really love my little stash of yarn. I feel like I'm living in a tiny apartment in Dublin, and my spare room is full of painting materials and yarn, basically. So I don't need that in my life. I'm trying to declutter a little bit. I'm sure this is all New Year's resolution that won't work, but I decided to use Ulster because I have this Prussian blue cone there. It's a color that I really, really love, and you know, I keep it there for safekeeping rather than actually using it, and yeah, it's not worth it. So here we go. That's the second work, finish work, and I really love this. It took something like 3.5 weeks to knit. I really wanted a jumper that was easy and that was unicolor type of thing, but have some interest, and I think this works marvelously well. I really love this, and I really want to make another one. All the ribbing, by the way, is inverted ribbing, which I never done before, and it's very interesting, and I probably will use this again. It's quite, how do you say, elastic. It's very beautiful to look at as well. The cast off, instead of casting off in pattern, as the pattern recommends, I use the higher granny cast off. That is the one the knitting steel was mentioning, that looks like a tubular bind off, but it's not tubular. It looks like it, but it's so much easier to do, and you just fly over. So really love it. We are 21 minutes into the thing, and I've only spoken about 2 things. So let me take this off and go on with the next thing. So here is the next thing. I moved the camera, but I realize it's useless. Anyway, I'm back here. You've seen this on a story on my Instagram account if you follow me. If you don't, please go and follow me. I am at an Irish Knitting Podcast on Instagram. This is the Sedal sweater by Sadness Garn, knitted once again in Holstgard, super soft, in the color Stormy Blue and White. It's one of my favorite jumpers. The problem was that it was quite short. I had to add about an inch and a half to the bottom, and I was trying to show you now the length, but I can't. I'm filming in the evening. The light is on the top of me, and I can't get far enough the camera without having the light to cast a shadow on me, so you wouldn't see anything else but my shiny face. I wanted to show you the bottom of the jumper and the waist. Anyway, what I've done is I chop off the bottom ribbing, pick up stitches and knitted an inch or 2 more, and then the ribbing, so this looks fine. I include this in my finished work because I was that close to give this jumper to charity, although it's a remarkable thing to do, to give a knitted jumper to charity. I really wanted to keep it for me because I love it. It's nice and cozy, it fits very well. The only issue was the length. So I'm very happy I solved that. I will try to link as well the podcast in which I talk at length about this jumper, but it's just gorgeous. And wearing this makes me want to knit another, and I should stop knitting other jumpers that I've knitted already, right? Let's go on with finish works. So, sock-wise, this is somehow a finished work that I've made, but at the same time something that my grandmother made. So we are talking about my other grandmother, my paternal, do you say? My dad's mom. Let's step back. If you are familiar with this channel, you know that I have created a few patterns that are now for sale in my Ravelry page with socks that have the so-called Venetian heel. Is the heel that my grandmother and great-grandmother from my mom's side used to make, which is a sort of keep knitting in the round, increasing and decreasing to get the heel done, still having a sort of a heel flap and gusset. It's quite a complicated way to build a heel, if I can say that. But I was really happy to get that on paper, to codify that, because I never seen that before, and it's a very interesting type of heel. Now, when I was back home talking to my mom, she was mentioning that my grandmother from my dad's side knits heel differently. This is what she does. So what did I do? I went there, I talked to her, and I got her to teach me how to make a heel her way, which is something I've never seen before. One more time. So here is the deal of the heel. If you see, we don't have any gusset. Is heel flap, but there's no gusset, right? Am I seeing that right? Yeah, there's no gusset. So the problem was for me how to understand that heel, how to work it, and it's stupidly easy. You basically cast on a number of stitches. After the stitches, you knit the heel flap as you would do for the heel flap and gusset. Then you leave on a side 10 stitches each side, and you start knitting back and forth in the center, creating the bottom of the heel. I don't know how you call that now. It's not a gusset. At the same time, this is completely square. So at the same time, you knit together the stitches that you have left aside on the sides of the heel flap with the new stitches of this bottom heel that you go up to. Does it make any sense? I will try, I need time, but I will try to write it down for you so you can see what I mean. When you have finished to knit together the stitches of the flap and the bottom, you just get back to knitting the round. Bob's your uncle. I have to say they are not the most comfortable heel because this bottom part tend to bunch up a little bit. But it's another technique that I didn't know, and I'm very happy that I managed to knit up. Yarn wise, as you can see, this is destroyed basically, but it's 2 balls each color, so 4 balls of a combination yarn that my granny had in her bag of yarns, in the drawers of yarns. So I've no clue of what fiber this is. It doesn't even feel like a wool. I think it's a sort of acrylic cotton mix of sorts. But I'm really pleased with this, and if nothing else, they feel like they are kind of slipper, I don't know, socks for your nighttime for bed, you know what I mean. The toe here, although my granny makes the toes very, very small, it's just a knit two together of each side, so you get your nice little pointy toe. I'll do another change and I'll come back to you. Here we go, back into my gym gear. I am back from a run, so I was absolutely sweaty and wearing a jumper, a woolly jumper, wasn't the case for too long, and I let you imagine why. So let's go on with finish works. No, let's go on with the works in progress. I only have one work in progress, which is this one. And I hear you shouting from the other side of the camera, another Islander sweater, Islander, how do you call it? Yes, it is another Islander sweater by Sandnes Garn, and I couldn't resist but making this pattern again. This time I'm using a merino wool. This is baby merino from Drops, which is absolutely great as a yarn. I only have a full jumper in baby merino, and I use it all the time. So I was thinking, why not to get another one done? I had yarn in stash. I was serving the yarn for other works, but at the end of the day, I love this design. I knitted this a couple of times using very rustic yarns, and I find myself not using that as often as I would like. And ergo, merino wool, I use it a lot. This design is one that I like a lot, so it was a combination made in heaven. Is that something you say? So I'm doing this. There's nothing much to say on the pattern. Is bottom up, a raglan, and a nice big chunky folded neck. As I go on knitting on this, I will tell you more about all that is going on with the pattern if I make any modification. Yeah, there's nothing else much to say, but that's it. I feel a bit of a shame that I'm knitting the same patterns over and over and over again. And you just find me, after taking out of my mind the making of another Billy pullover, that lovely Aron jumper knitted in the round. Who's the Billy pullover from? Is it Petite Knit or Sari Nordlund? One of the two. It's probably Andre Mori now at this stage. I'm completely messed up. But you know, the bigger Aron jumper. So, bottom line story. I have the jumper here. Let me show you now. Here it is, all bundled up. I just wore it over the weekend, and this color, it's a melange color, is called Tutti Frutti by Sannes Peer Gynt. I have different of these ones, and the sweater number 15 as well. They come in my wardrobe often and often and often and often. But I'm finding myself wearing this one so much more often than any other Aron jumper that I own. And it's down to the color, this beigey color here. I'm 100% sure it's down to the color. I was going out on Saturday, that's where it was going. I was going out on Saturday, and I wore a gray shirt underneath, like a dark greenish gray shirt, weird color, like this, but more on the gray tone. So I tried on this same jumper, the red version that I have, didn't work out with the shirt and the jeans, didn't work out. I tried on the blue one that I have, didn't work out. I have another version of this in the same kind of speckly color, but is a cooler tone of gray, and the speckles are darker blue. So very cool gray blue type of thing. Didn't work out. I pick up this one and I wore this, and it works out perfectly. I really love this color and this jumper. So in a rage of I need more of these jumpers, I need more of this color, I was stuck on the website trying to buy Sannes Garn Peer Gynt again. I stopped myself because of what I was saying before. I need to be more mindful of working up or working down my stash rather than keep buying yarn and stocking it there for no reason. I know that if I bought yarn, and now I have on the back of my mind, oh, you should buy yarn, you should buy the yarn. If I buy the yarn, it's gonna stay in my stash for ever, because will be a sort of safekeeping, because I love it so much. I'm gonna wait at the right moment to savor it, but it just stays there forever and ever. And this is not a rare yarn at all. You can find it quite easily, website and so on. So yeah, I parked it. I really love this jumper, and I really hope it lasts me forever, because it's absolutely gorgeous and I wear it all the time. And it smells lovely now. Anyway, that was pretty much it in terms of knitting situation. Other thing that I've done, I don't have it here with me. I taught myself more or less. My granny gave me some hints when I was back home how to use a Tating shuttle. I mean, I'm not mastering the Tating by any stretch of the imagination. It's something that kind of I enjoy doing with my hands. It's not something that I feel like has a future for me. The biggest thing or the more useful thing that I could create is probably a doily, and I don't even use those. So it's a nice skill, but I don't think I'm going to use it at all in my everyday life, like knitting would be, or crocheting perhaps. So yeah, that was something I wanted to learn, but it's on the back burner now. I learned the technique of flipping the yarn and so on, and it's fine enough. If you have any recommendation on what to do with a tattered piece, or if you have any pattern that creates something rather than a piece of decoration or a doily, something perhaps that I could wear would be lovely, let me know. I'm very, very curious to apply the little technique into something different, something that I can actually use. In other news, art-wise, let's talk about art. I've just published, literally an hour ago, another Skillshare course. Skillshare is a platform in which creatives like myself teach people a share skills. And I tend to teach painting and drawing over there. My classes are not exactly popular, but so is not my YouTube or Instagram. So like, I mean, I can't judge the popularity, but I do that because I really love teaching these small skills that makes my life so much better every day. And the class that I've taught now is on how to paint snowy alpine landscape like this one that I'm putting up here. And if you are interested in learning a bit about watercolor, about drawing realistic landscapes, check it out. I'll be happy. You can have, I think it's a month for free. And boy, in a month you can take my classes 7 times and then unsubscribe, and you don't have to pay any money. That's what I'm saying. That was it for my art journey. It took way of a big step back, and I had to sit down today actually to program, film, execute, upload the class, because I wanted to get back into that as well. During the Christmas break, I had basically stopped everything apart from the knitting piece, which is great, but made me feel like I needed something else now, something to do, something to be more creative, and that's basically what's happening. The last thing I wanted to touch base with you is the book. So I'm currently reading Il Conte di Montecristo, which is in English The Count of Monte Cristo, I suppose, by Alexandre Dumas. I'm reading this in Italian, and I'm reading it through my Kobo, which is my e-reader, because it's big and I couldn't transport this anyway. It's so slow. It's so slow. It's very nice, readable book, but it's so slow. I think I am about 60% through the book and still is going on. It's like, those soap operas in the 1990s, they used to go on for 10, 15, 20, 35 years. I remember, I don't remember, I'm sure my granny is still watching a soap opera which in Italian is simply called Beautiful. I think in English is something like The Beautiful and something else. It basically talks about two fashion design families, two fashion brands, and all the intricacy between the two families. And my granny always says that she started watching it when I was just born, because my mom was going to work. She minded me, and they did that on television, so she started watching that there. And I'm basically, what now, 16, 17 years old, so you can take a look and think about how long that is been going on. Alexandre Dumas and this book seems the same. It's so long. I'm enjoying it. Every time I take it out, I'm enjoying it. But doesn't give me any space for anything else to read, which is kind of a pity, because I get a bit of an adrenaline boost when I finish a book and I open a new one and I go to the bookshop and I buy another book. This is just lingering for months. Anyway, I really hope I can get a bit of a dent on this book. Projects for the future. It's finishing my Islander sweater. Now that I touch the sweater, the Aron jumper, the idea of buying more yarn and knitting another of those in beige is coming back. So I need to think about it, because I'm all of the idea that if you have a desire, that is something that is going to happen. You can't let it go so easily, especially if it's not something difficult to do. For me, it would be a matter of buying yarn and knitting up. So we'll see. Plans for the future again are what? Nothing really, just try to survive. I am going back to Italy in a couple of weeks, this time with some Irish friends, just to ski, a ski holiday. So we're going back nearby where I'm from, and just stay in an hotel and ski for a week and get to enjoy that part of the holiday as well. I'm very excited to go back there, also because it has snowed a lot. Anyway, I'm blathering now and this is way too long. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, consider to give me a follow here, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.